Welcome everyone to another NFL Corner. I'm Nick Stano, and I'm joined by my co-host Anthony Vanelli, Tierman, and still very special guest Fitz over here. We have a lot to talk about today, like always. We're going to be doing a lot of off-season talk, and as the draft gets closer and the combines here, we start to talk and break down the prospects for the draft this year as well. But we're just going to start off real quick with some NFL news. To start off, a couple weeks ago, just as we went off air pretty much, we found out that Hall of Fame wide receiver and former ESPN football analyst Jerry Rice, widely considered one of the best receivers in NFL history, admitted to using stickum on his gloves while he was playing. This comes after he criticized Odell Beckham Jr.'s huge catch against the Cowboys this past year, saying that it was the gloves and not OBJ. Rice admitted that it was wrong, but that everyone was doing it back in the day, so he kind of half apologized for it. Steelers running back Le'Veon Bell could be suspended for the first 2 games of the regular season for his drug-related arrest this past August. Blount got cleared through community service, so he will not be suspended. Former Ravens running back Ray Rice issued an apology in the Baltimore Sun for his domestic violence incident, saying that there is no excuse for it. The Bills have signed offensive guard Richie Incognito, who hasn't played since the bullying scandal in Miami in 2013. Former Seahawks fullback Michael Richardson has said that he's spoken to Marshawn Lynch and confirms that Beast Mode is thinking of retiring, but I don't think that's going to go anywhere. Cardinals wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald re-signed with Arizona on technically a 4-year deal for cap reasons, but the last 2 years are void, so it's really a 2-year, $22 million deal, which is all fully guaranteed money, as Fitzgerald is likely to finish up his career in Arizona. This is all according to Ian Rappaport. The Buccaneers released quarterback Josh McCown, saving them $4 million in cap space and pretty much guaranteeing that they are going to select either Winston or Mariota with the first pick in the draft. Cowboys running back DeMarco Murray said earlier last week that he wants to stay on the Cowboys, but he also knows his value and he wants to get paid what he's worth. So that also kind of fits in with the fact that the Cowboys are thinking of franchise tagging Dez Bryant. Redskins head coach Jay Gruden already announced that RG3 will be the starter for the 2015 season, way ahead of the draft and everything, so we'll see how that's going, especially after last year. Vikings owner Mark Wolf said that he would love to have Adrian Peterson return to the Vikings in 2015 once Peterson resolves his issues with the NFL. Redskins and former Steelers safety Ryan Clark announced his retirement on NFL Live on Wednesday. Clark said he wants to retire a Steeler, so we'll see what happens there. Broncos wide receiver Wes Welker is reportedly contemplating retirement, which I think would be what's best for the Broncos and especially Welker. Also, Peyton Manning has told the Broncos that he is physically and mentally ready to play in 2015. That was according to Chris Mortensen, but he hasn't confirmed if he will return for the season or not. And the NFL filed a motion early in the week seeking evidence from Panthers defensive end Greg Hardy's first trial in which a judge found him guilty of assault. So after all of that news for the past couple of weeks, what do you guys think is the big storyline coming out of the past couple of weeks of the NFL?
Off season, I mean, honestly, I feel like nothing is big news because like all that speculation on things and like the legal issues that happens all throughout the year, and it's kind of not made a big deal about unless it's something really big. Mm-hmm. But because it's off season and we don't have football to talk about, we kind of make a bigger issue of things like the Le'Veon Bell, like kind of things that would be kind of minuscule during the season, but they're bigger just because we don't have football to talk about.
Right.
So it's kind of like a scapegoat for you just kind of jump on board with those stories. As far as, like suspensions and talking about players that want to stay, and I mean, we'll talk about franchise tags coming up and free agency. I think that's the bigger issue, and that's probably what should be focused upon rather than like the legal issues. Because I mean, there's always going to be legal issues. It's just we don't have football to talk about, so we focus in more on that.
Right, and I know we were talking earlier this week about Gruden already announcing that RG3 is going to be the starter.
It's a good move, but I don't know why so soon.
I think it's a good move too, though, because now you're going to go into the season. I mean, RG3's
good
got,
for RG3.
Oh, yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's got enough going on in his head instead of playing the mind game with the whole quarterback and competition.
Is it Cousins? Is it McCoy? Is it RG3? They go in and they find out they're fighting for so long.
And I think they have to start RG3,
exactly.
though, too. Like, that's kind of the guy that they kind of based the franchise around, even though it hasn't really worked out. I know it's was his last year of his contract, I'm pretty sure.
I think he has one more.
No, he has 2 more.
Or is it an option? Isn't it? Isn't the last one a team option though?
Yeah.
So this is really gonna. I think this year is really gonna decide if they're gonna keep him or not. So I think that's why you got to start him.
Right. What do you think, Tier?
Probably won't surprise you or you. The Larry Fitzgerald, that deal. I thought
I knew he wasn't gonna.
I agree with them.
We talked about it.
No way was it gonna go there.
How he was in his back end of his career. Maybe want to get a Super Bowl ring, go to another team for a discounted price.
Could have the Cardinals made a Super Bowl push this year if Palmer never went down, though? If they had so many injuries on that defense and they were still good, and Palmer went down, and Ellington went down, could have they maybe made a push?
I think the question you're trying to ask is if Ryan Lindley wasn't their quarterback, would they have made a quarterback push?
Yeah. Do you think they probably could have? I mean,
they probably could have.
Let's be real. We could have went back there and did what Ryan Lindley did.
Well, defensively, I'm saying their team is good enough that they could probably compete for a Super Bowl.
I think
so. So I think that if they,
it's not like he signed with a bad team that's going nowhere, but he didn't sign with someone who's competing.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know about the whole quarterback. Their quarterback position is such a toss up this year because of Palmer. You don't know what's going to happen.
But is Larry Fitzgerald a Hall of Fame receiver?
Yes.
You think so? What do you think? I say no. I say no because he's one of those guys that, number one, he's a possession receiver. I'm not saying that there's not good possession receivers in the NFL that make the Hall of Fame, because there's a lot of, like Reggie Wayne, for the beginning of his career, was a big threat receiver, and now he's a possession receiver, but that's not going to hurt him. He's going to be
a Hall of Famer.
Right. I think that Larry Fitzgerald's entire career, he's been pretty much a possession receiver. He's put up phenomenal numbers, but then we start talking about, we can blame the quarterback, but how much? Because there are guys that stick around too long and end up hurting their career. There are guys that stayed in the NFL longer than they should have. They should have got out when they left really good numbers, and it was detrimental for them to come back and perform poorly. And
I'm not really sure how the Hall of Fame process actually works in the NFL. Is it like
electoral votes the same as
no, but I'm just saying, like, class-wise, is it 5 years after you retire?
I think it's 7.
Is it 7 years after you retire? And then how long are you on the ballot for?
I believe it's 7, yeah.
I think it's 7.
And then how long are you on the ballot for? Like, how long are you allowed?
I think you're always on the ballot.
You can always be on the ballot.
Yeah. Oh, then I think you'll definitely get in then. If you're always allowed to be, like, it's not like baseball where, like...
But the whole thing is that, like, if you look at the way that the Hall of Fame votes come down, you see guys from, 20-plus years ago, you see a guy from, like, 10-plus years ago.
I think so.
But don't you think he'll maybe go to the back burner? If he doesn't get elected when the time comes for him to get into the Hall of Fame, first 2 years he doesn't get in, he might slip to the back of the line.
And I think he'll get in. I think he's great. I just don't think
because think about the other, like, how many other really, really good receivers in, like, his actual, like, age group.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like Andre Johnson, like, cool.
There's guys that got in.
Because I'm saying
that are way better than him, but almost didn't get in. Like Tim Brown.
Right.
Almost didn't get in. Right. And Tim Brown probably shouldn't even be in the same sentence as Larry Fitzgerald, because Tim Brown was just that much better.
Well, Tim Brown also played in an era where there were, like...
a crazy amount of great receivers.
Right, that's what I'm saying. And, like, don't get me wrong, Larry
Fitzgerald, that makes it harder for Tim Brown.
Right, I'm saying it's going to make it easier for Larry Fitz to get in.
Right.
Because there's not as many...
I'm not saying he might not. I'm just saying I don't know if he's totally deserving.
Oh, I get what you're saying.
Like, I think he's almost there. He's probably, like, in my opinion, I think he just barely gets snubbed, if anything.
Yeah.
Like, if he makes it into the Hall of Fame, that's great. Like, he deserves it. Yeah. But he might just miss out on it.
I want to see what he thinks.
Tier Man, what do you think?
I don't think he will. I think now we look at... I'm not going to say championships rings now, because that's just not...
That's more of a quarterback thing.
Right.
Then.
That's just... that's not fair to do to him. And he did the if say he did go to another team and he got a ring, yes.
Without a doubt.
Without a doubt, I would say
a doubt,
yes.
yeah.
But now with Arizona, he's back end.
I totally agree.
I'm not.
And here's the other thing that's interesting.
I'm not so sure.
When it was him and Anquan Bolden, they were talking about Anquan Bolden just as much as Larry Fitzgerald, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anquan Bolden leaves the team, and then you think it's Fitzgerald's team, and if you look at stats, Fitzgerald was better when Bolden was there.
Right.
And he's kind of declined since, whereas someone, from a fan standpoint, you would think that, you know what? Bolden's gone. This is Fitzgerald's team now. Fitzgerald's stats are probably going to go up.
But could that be because the defense is
double teaming, focusing on him? Right. That's an argument you can make too. But I think that you have to say, well, clearly he's their best receiver.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But his production's kind of, like I said, it's just been going down and down and down.
Well,
to me, a Hall of Famer is someone that is like this. You only get better or you stay the same. Like Ed Reed, he stayed around way too long.
Yeah, he's
way too long. Bernard Pollard, way too long. Charles Woodson is without a doubt a Hall of Famer, maybe the best to play that position because he's produced every single year.
Yeah, like the guy's like 38,
really
and he's still making great plays.
Champ Bailey played for a while, but then he
Roman
retired.
Harper.
Yeah.
Champ Bailey played for a while, but when he knew that it was over, though,
he left. That's what kills guys, I think. If you stay around too long,
right,
and you just start your career declines,
where you have to decide to walk away or not.
If you, I'm going to try to use like an idiotic example, but it's going to get the point across. If you bought me dinner last year, and then you bought me dinner again last week, which one am I going to remember more? The one last week. In our minds, we remember the thing that happened most recently. So for someone that's voting for someone to get into the Hall of Fame, the fact that the most recent production has been negative, that's what's keeping him out. I agree with what you said in terms of if he was to go to a team that would compete for a Super Bowl, and they did compete and won, and he had that ring, regardless of the production, as long as it was average, it would have got him in, obviously.
Yeah, but you also got to know, too, he's got 4 years left in his contract.
2 years.
2 years.
Sorry,
it's a 2-year contract.
Real
2
2
years.
years.
So, I mean, we could also see how that
If
goes.
he needs to have a breakout year, and if he does, then I will say guarantee he's in.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I'm on the fence. I don't know. I don't see that happening.
Next year or the year after, if he has like a really good year, either one of those years, you could definitely make more of a case for him.
As of right now, I don't know.
It's more of a what have you done for me lately instead of what did you do for me.
It's like when you dig deep and look at all the factors and look at guys that haven't gotten in and guys that could get in. He's not. He doesn't come to mind right away. You know?
Right.
All right. So we're just going to go into our first big topic, which is big money and can teams afford to keep some of their biggest players. Just kind of talking about free agents and who's going to be franchise tagged possibly or not. So we're just going to look at some of the top free agents and whether or not their team can afford to keep them, or if the player will go somewhere else, or who teams should make a priority in signing.
Do you have Gresham and Aliuga?
Yeah. Yes. First off, we're just going to start off with the Lions with Ndamukong Suh, Nick Fairley, Rob Sims on that really banged up offensive line, and Rashawn Mathis. I mean,
Mathis has got to go. He's 50.
Yeah. I mean, it's just these are all some of the bigger players on their team, but they also have to realize that eventually they're going to have to pay Golden Tate big money, just like Megatron. But I mean, they're really making a push for Suh, and I don't think they're giving Fairley enough of a look either, just because they might not get Suh.
Fairley's less of a headache,
But who's a priority and who's more likely to stay out of these four?
I'm Detroit. I let Suh walk, keep Fairley.
Just because of on and off the field.
I understand
and he's going to be cheaper.
Yeah, Fairley will be
cheaper so you can keep more guys.
Yeah.
Suh's going to want
big money.
Stupid money.
Yeah.
But I agree with him. But as far as like Rasheem Mathis, you can let him go. Right. He's 37, and you have Bill Bentley and Darius Slay, who are promising corners. They're young, so you can build around those guys. I mean, I understand it's good to have a veteran guy, but to invest a don't want a money because he's going to want like a Larry Fitzgerald deal, a good amount of money for a small amount of time because he knows his career's up.
Yep.
I don't like that deal. He hasn't proven he's one of the best to get that deal. I agree totally with what you say. If you get rid of Suh, you get rid of headaches, and your wallet's not empty. And then you can keep Fairley, who's just about almost as good as as Suh is.
And with that, I mean, I think they're going to be losing out big in either case because you have two of the better defensive tackles in the league, and it's going to slip somehow. But I mean, if you even remotely try and keep both of them, like if you tag one and keep the other for a full
then
deal,
you gotta look on the offensive line, and I mean,
like you're gonna be able to get nothing.
Yeah.
Side,
So
and
fairly have injuries, right?
no, he had one. He had one off the field issue.
Yeah, he's been
pretty solid. Yeah. All right, we're gonna look at the Cowboys, where they have DeMarco Murray, Dez Bryant, who Stephen Jones, the Cowboys VP, says they're leaning towards using the franchise tag on him, which I think is mildly insulting to Dez Bryant. Then we also have offensive tackle Doug Free, who kind of anchored that line.
You have to have Doug Free. Yeah.
So I mean, they have 3 really big targets that they have to go after, and at least 2 of these guys need to get contracts if you even try and tag one of them. So we're gonna start with Fitz and go around. Who do you tag and who do you keep? More or less, like who are you gonna tag out of that group of 3?
You gotta tag. That's tough.
Just remember, Romo's not going to be there as long as Dez is. So just remember that.
Yeah.
Romo will not be there for as long as the contract that Dez is going to put together.
Yeah, I say you franchise.
It's tough, but you got to think about Romo. Yeah. Once Romo leaves, is there a quarterback that's going to step up and be Romo?
I have.
Yeah, but you always have Dez on your team. Yeah, you go for. I can't.
All right,
so hard.
So we're gonna reverse. Finelli first.
You have to get Doug Free. But the good thing about Doug Free is
he's not gonna be that.
He doesn't
expensive.
have an ego,
right?
Where he's gonna say, "I need big money." He's gonna be like a Brady and say, "I'll take a pay cut to let other guys get paid."
He's still gonna get paid.
He's still gonna get paid.
Not as much.
That offensive line is the best offensive line in football.
Oh,
if they want to continue to have the success with Romo and Dez, you have to have Doug Free because that's Romo's backside.
Right.
You have to cover his backside. You got to sign Doug Free. So you get Doug Free. I think you sign Dez, and this is why I think you sign Dez.
So you're gonna sign Dez and DeMarco, or
I'm signing Dez and Doug Free.
Oh, so you're gonna tag Maury.
I'll let.
That's what I would do. Yeah, I agree with you on that. I would franchise tag Murray.
Yeah.
You got it. Yeah.
So there's a general consensus now that we're gonna tag Murray.
Yeah,
and sign Dez and Free. Okay.
Honestly, I think you sign Dez. I agree with that. Dez, all right, because the thing about Dez, that Dez is such like
change the game himself.
He's a.
You could have a Lindley throwing at him.
You could literally make an argument that Dez Bryant is the best receiver in football. You could make a solid argument that Dez
top 3.
Yeah, top 5 at minimum.
Yeah.
Like he's up there.
When he's
maybe
on
Calvin Johnson, maybe, but
I think Dez is better than Calvin Johnson.
Calvin had a little had an off year this year, but I mean,
I think because of injuries, really.
Honestly, you're gonna call me crazy, but I don't think it would be a bad idea if they let DeMarco totally just walk.
That's what I said. I said that on the last show. I've been saying that forever. I was like, dude, DeMarco is not going to get the money that he wants from the Dallas Cowboys, and I think I
agreed with you last show when you said that how much longer can he take the wear and tear on his body. The only reason why I said you keep DeMarco around is because I keep thinking about Romo. He's getting up there in age. He's got to have someone he can hand the ball off to.
Right.
But I honestly think it is more important to have an offensive line in Dez Bryant.
The offensive line alone can make someone who's an average
quarterback,
an average running back
too. Yeah,
even better.
You know what I think? I know.
So Randall or any other backup that they could have, or
Dunbar or Randall,
like any guy that they bring in
could
even be
right. That's what I'm saying. Running backs don't go in the top 5 picks anymore.
Running backs are
dumbest pick ever. But but I mean, like, what if somehow I was just about to say, what if Melvin Gordon just falls into the lap? Like, they're obviously going to
projected late 20s.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. That's what I mean.
I think we all agree that you could let Murray walk. It wouldn't be. I mean, it
wouldn't be too outrageous because
I feel like
there are teams that are going to pay Murray.
They would never do what you're going to say.
Or if you can get him cheap.
I think you're going to say tag him and then try to trade. Try to trade him at the end. No,
try and get him at a house, like a discount, kind of like
trade.
Kind of like what the Red Sox tried to do just because he's a running back.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to do that because running.
He won't.
This is like I said, this is going to be his last contract.
Prime contract.
This is going to be one of his prime contracts. After this, it's done, and he's going to try to get as much money as possible.
He's not going to sign a 1-year deal.
Guys
who have that.
I just said to Nick, maybe like a $345 million deal, somewhere around that.
I just don't see him doing that. And I just think that
that's still a big cap hit for them, which is what they really have to worry about. All right,
well, Jerry Jones is a genius with money, so he'll figure it out.
And he'll keep throwing money. All right, so the next team we're going to look at is the Broncos, where they have Demaryius Thomas, Julius Thomas, and Terrence Knighton to look at. And they're already talking about franchise tagging Demaryius.
Yeah.
if possible. I mean, they also have Wes Welker, but if Welker retires, he should.
Just let him go. He's a bum.
Yeah, he's not worth it anymore.
Can I say something about Julius Thomas? All right. I think that it would not be that big of a loss if he left. He's a very good he's a good receiving tight end, but he can't block.
I agree with him 100% because tight ends also, honestly, guys come in and you can make a tight end so good. Like Travis Kelce came out of nowhere and now he's very good. Jermaine Gresham had a really good college career, and I think Jermaine Gresham, not even being biased, is one of the best tight ends in the league. He just doesn't have the right quarterback throwing to him. You can let a tight end walk and still get someone really good coming out in the draft.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I
agree
feel
with you on that.
Julius Thomas, he's not worth the money.
He's a good number 2 tight end. He's a good receiving tight end.
Right, but he can't block though. The tight end is such an underrated position because it's so important when you need the block.
You have to remember, Manning's he's gone. Osweiler is going to be solid when he steps in, but I think you have to keep Demaryius Thomas, and I think you got to keep Knighton. Knighton's a monster.
Yeah,
Knighton's real good. I always build defense before offense. I think defense is what wins games, obviously. So.
Yeah, I would take Knighton. I would let Thomas walk, and I would sign Trevor Knighton, and then just either go into the draft or draft. Sorry, Terrence.
All right.
Can I say one thing real quick about Wes Welker? I read something the other day that said Wes Welker is the best slot receiver ever.
No,
and I almost threw up. Yeah. That is probably the dumbest statement I've ever heard.
Where'd you read this? Was it Bleacher Report?
No, it was NFL.com that said it was a write-up and said that Wes Welker, arguably the best slot receiver
he put up crazy stats when he was in New England, though.
But that was because of Brady.
Right, that was because of Brady.
I think Wes Welker is not even in the top 5.
For slot receivers?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's a bum.
He was.
Would you think he's the best slot receiver ever? No.
Dude, Edelman's better than... Well, it would be interesting to see if Edelman was on a different team, but
Edelman might also last longer, maybe, than Welker. We'll see.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna go to the Bills now, where they have Jerry Hughes and Denoris Cersei.
They're both staying.
They're both gonna stay.
Safety.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's definitely staying.
They're both gonna stay. It's just how much are they gonna shell out?
Hughes is gonna want more because Hughes is a monster.
Hughes will be one of the best. He'll be one of the best pass rushers. Either this coming season or the next one. That is the best defensive
line if they get everyone. If you got Darius, you got
Williams,
and Kyle Smith.
Yeah.
Isn't Darius isn't?
Bills are going to be good next year. They got Incognito now.
No. Darius. Marcel
Darius.
He's in trouble, isn't he? He did some. I thought there was
legally.
Yeah, I thought there was.
Either way, that defensive line is scary.
I'm just saying.
He's good.
I thought there was something with him. I don't know what.
I don't want to compare him, but he's one of the. No, I won't even say that, but he's a hard-hitting safety.
Yeah,
he's like Charles Woodson. He's a hard-hitting.
He's kind of like a John Lynch,
big.
like Rodney Harrison.
You got to keep him. Those are prototypes. Those are tough
to
find. You got to keep both of them. I think Hughes gets paid more though.
Oh yeah, Hughes will get paid more, but I know the reason why I put this on here was just because these are two big up-and-coming young guys that are gonna look to get paid, but at the same time, you're gonna try and add more depth to this team and kind of build around the stars that are outcoming. So, how much does this kind of hurt the Bills looking for depth?
Is it me or is it every year we look at the Bills and we expect them to take the next step
every
year, and they
could have this year,
and they just go 8-8.
Running back injuries this year. Kyle Orton was great.
Running back injuries every year, pretty much, because Spiller or Jackson is hurt, or both at the same time.
Then they have Bryce Brown and Bobby Dixon.
I feel as if it's the same story. We expect them to get the 10 wins.
You look at stats though; their defense is there.
Oh, absolutely.
Their defense has been there for the past couple of years.
Sammy Watkins.
I think they're going in this year with EJ Manuel. I think that's going to be their guy, and I think it's really going to highly depend on him.
Right.
He's got weapons now.
I think it was only good that Manuel sat for almost the entirety of last year.
Did help him.
No, I think it did too because
I don't know if it's definitely his job though.
Who's
Jeff Tuchel?
They were looking at bringing in Josh McCown.
Yeah,
for meetings.
That's true. They could also pick up. As of right now,
who's like a career backup.
Right. As of right now, I think Manuel.
The other thing is,
he's not going to go back to a Rex.
I think that Sammy Watkins was the worst of the big name receivers.
And that's unfortunate.
Which is
unfortunate
because
people might think that sounds crazy.
No,
he's the worst of the big names.
Right, he's still really good, obviously.
Which is ridiculous because he still put up crazy numbers.
Right,
too.
where you had ODB, then you had Mike Evans and Kelvin.
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 He was probably
Which is funny because he was the number one projected guy for which he should have been.
Right.
Obviously,
the receiving core is good though. Marquise Goodwin was a speed sprinter in
Robert
college.
Woods made some
Robert
really
Woods
big
was good.
catches.
How about Martavius Bryant on his team in college got no recognition, at all? But he's
Now
the
Ben
same.
Roethlisberger made
He's
him.
the same
Yeah.
player. They're the same.
Well,
guy.
he's light. He's
Oh,
6'5",
yeah.
and he's one of the fastest receivers in the NFL.
Dude, I remember the
It's
first
crazy.
time I saw him play, and he
He
was
burned us like 6 plays. And
Yeah, I was
Hail
like, who is
Marys.
this guy? This dude looks like Usain Bolt when he's
Pac-Man
running.
wasn't on him. That's why.
All right, so for the Panthers, we have Greg Hardy. Now,
He's gone.
No, he's gone.
No,
I don't think he's going to go back to Carolina.
I don't think
either.
he would go back to Carolina either. The bigger question is, where does he go? Because he's going to want money, but at the same time, he's going to look for a team that's going to win, just like Carolina had the potential to 2 years
I
ago.
disagree with that.
We'll probably end up
Okay.
on the Raiders.
I think it goes by money at his position. He's going to want to get paid.
Okay.
He's going to want a big
but
contract.
you know teams though.
There are teams that can get that.
No, there are, but there's going to be a lot of teams who are going to pull
Is
that.
he old?
You have problems off the field. We
Not
can't
really.
give you a
No,
big
he's
deal.
young.
He's
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like 27.
Yeah.
So Tampa Bay has the money to get him, but Tampa Bay is reconfiguring Levante David's contract.
Right.
If they could get him and Levante David, they'd be insane linebacking core. But a team that has a lot of money to spend, like the Browns have a good amount of money to spend too.
Yeah.
But
And they
it's just a
that,
question.
that
I-
defense could be
The
dirty,
Jets have
too.
a lot of money to spend.
I can't see him going there.
I could see it.
They're not a defensive team anymore. I
What
don't
do you mean?
think.
They're
No, they
coaches
have one of the
defensive.
best defense. They have one of the best defensive
lines.
lines.
Right,
in
but
all
you can
football.
make it better though. I
Right,
mean,
and Todd Bowles was a defensive guy, but
Right.
they're not going to be a defensive team. How many more years can they focus simply on defense? They need to start figuring out their offense.
No,
dude.
they
You
do.
have to
And
They
do
real
that.
quick.
What I'm saying
Real
though is that
quick.
like they might be able to get him like because like I said, a lot of teams maybe hesitant to give him a big contract because what if he's gonna start doing what he does off the field, then he's not gonna be able to play. So they
Yeah, a lot of teams. will
There's
be
a lot of
cautious
teams
about
that take risks on players like
All
that.
the-
I
Alden
think
Smith
you
is the
could
biggest
see
example
him
of that.
getting like maybe a 1 or 2 year deal.
But I think
Yeah.
Alden Smith is like
He's
the
gonna
biggest
be my
example of that because the
one
49ers
dumb
are
thing of the
very
day.
willing to take
Why
him back
would you say
every
that?
time. Why? Because
Well,
he's really good.
Yeah, he's really good,
Prediction.
exactly.
All right, here's a bold prediction, which is probably a dumb.
Tier man
New
with a bold
England.
prediction.
Of course,
he's going to
of
New
course,
England.
he's going to New England.
New England's cheap though, and they're gonna have to sign Revis and McCourty.
There's no way.
They're
That's
not
not
gonna
gonna
have the cap.
fly.
for
He
it.
doesn't fit the status quo.
He doesn't fit
of
the
New England.
system.
If
No, he
he was,
doesn't.
I would
Randy
say.
Moss didn't either.
No,
I would
Randy
say
Moss wasn't
if-
beating up his girlfriend.
I would say
though.
if Hardy was like 4 or 5 years older, yes.
What
New
player
England
have the
would probably
Patriots
try and
ever
go after
taken
it.
a risk on?
he said Randy Moss,
Haynesworth.
but Randy Moss was not.
Randy
Haynesworth.
Moss
risk.
was not a risk in that
Hainsworth
aspect.
was a huge risk.
Who?
Hainsworth is an idiot. But
Yeah.
then again, it's a total
Ocho
different
Cinco
position.
kinda.
No,
Not
Greg
really.
Hardy was domestic abuse.
Yeah.
Like that's
That
a
draws
big
the
deal.
line
a little
That's a
bit.
big
Yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
They're not going to do that.
All right, so we're going to the Bengals where we have Gresham.
He's got
At
to stay.
tight
I
end.
think you get rid of Maluga as much as it's going to kill me.
Really?
But yeah, I really do.
Is he
Really
gonna
do.
want that much, or are they just
No,
not gonna
I
be
mean-
able to?
No, but
Who would fill in for him then?
Vincent Ray. He's good. Or Emmanuel Lamar. But honestly, I think you let Maluga walk only because out of college at USC, he was supposed to be this. I don't.
Crazy,
You
amazing
heard about him
linebacker.
every day.
Yeah.
If you didn't even like the Bengals, if you didn't even like football, and you turned ESPN on, they talked about him all the time.
Yeah.
Ray
Maluga,
Maluga, how nasty college. He has not had. He had one good season, one average season, and the rest has been crap. Injury prone and mediocre seasons. I don't think we need him. I don't think we should waste the money on what he needs. I love Jermaine Gresham. I always have. I think he's one of the best tight ends in football. I think you have to sign him because Eifert's good, but Eifert's more of a blocking tight end, and Gresham is that extra downfield threat for
like
Dalton.
even if you look at how Eifert runs his routes,
Right.
it's more like he's going out of his way to make the catch instead of
Right.
making it look
Right,
easy.
yeah. And I think that if you don't sign Maluga, I mean, you have to also understand they have so many linebackers. Their
Yeah.
team is so linebacker heavy. There's like 4 guys per position in depth chart.
Right.
But if you get rid of him, you also free up some money, and I think you have to rebuild your receiving core. The only 2 guys in that receiving core that are worthy of staying
Green
in
and
Cincinnati,
Sanu.
Green and Sanu. That's it.
Yeah.
You get rid of Marvin Jones, even though he's been injured. You get rid of him. Greg Little is atrocious. Dane Sazenbacher, they think he's like the the Cole Beasley or the Edelman. He's not. You get rid of him and you rebuild the receiving core, and you have money to do so.
Right.
So I don't think you sign Maliuga.
I think I agree with you because you got to look at, like you said, even on your own team, but in the NFL in general, there's always linebackers.
Exactly, and we have so many. Yeah.
And if you look at tight end production, like throughout the league, like tight ends. Like you gotta go what you got and what you know.
Exactly.
So I agree.
And how much better can a good tight end make the team and the quarterback?
A lot better.
You see it all the time. I'll use the Jets for an example. The games that Jason Morrow had a great game
was when Geno had his good games.
And
there
Vic,
you go. And it was Geno and Vic every other game.
It's freaking game.
All right. So we go to the Packers now, who need to re-sign or look to re-sign B.J. Raji, Tremont Williams, Brian Bulaga, and Randall Cobb, and they're already talking with Cobb to work out a deal.
I heard Cobb and the Browns.
I heard
were
Cobb.
having discussions.
I heard Cobb might be gone.
And
you let Raji go. Tremont Williams.
That's
secondary.
huge. No, I mean I know we're talking about we're signing, but I'm just saying that's huge. If Cobb goes to the Browns, though,
and I think that's
huge.
If
Cobb goes anywhere,
right.
But I'm saying though,
I think that would be stupid on the part of the Packers because that's a huge dual threat with Jordy and Cobb.
I think that's got. I agree. That's
Devontae Adams is good.
He's just not at that same area.
I think Cobb has to be their number one option, and then you figure out with Cobb, and then
I like Tremont Williams though.
I mean,
he's up there in age now. He's 31.
Right,
but he's a lockdown corner.
Yeah.
They don't have anyone else besides Sam Shields.
Yeah,
really.
They need him on the other side of the field.
Secondary's not, though.
The rest of their defense is terrible, with the exception of
their D-line is terrible, but honestly, I don't like B.J. Raji.
I don't know, A.J.
terrible.
I haven't heard B.J. Raji do anything since they won the Super Bowl.
No, he hasn't, except for doing commercials, which he sucks in. Right. And he should, and I wouldn't waste the money on him that he's going to want.
No, you got to get rid of him.
He was injured half the year. He played the beginning of the year.
I feel like there's
Raji played for a couple games.
He played a couple games in the beginning of the year. Yeah, he did.
I feel like B.J. Raji's like one of those players that teams hold on to because they brought such good memories in the past that it's just like they live on those memories and they're like, you know what I mean?
Can't sell dreams. I don't know why they would. Yeah, I do know what you mean.
That's why I think he's got. That's what I'm saying. I think that's why.
I can understand.
You know what I mean? It's like
don't waste your time with Raji.
No, I know. Especially football culture.
Cobb is crucial to sign
because fans love B.J. Raji. Like the fans, they do there. Yeah, I know. I think they need to get rid of him, but I'm saying though that's why I think they've held on too long.
So we have a couple one shots. We have the Texans and Kendrick Lewis.
Secondary. You have to keep secondary.
He's the best of their secondary.
How many safeties in the league are? He's not great. He's good. How many safeties in the league that are good enough that can fill a role?
Not many.
All right, so let him. Yeah. You got to fix him.
And then we have Justin Houston with the Chiefs.
He's probably the best outside linebacker.
So I mean, like
you have to, but he wants money.
Yeah, pay him dirty money.
Pay him stupid money.
They don't have
Barry wants out too. I mean, Barry's a free agent too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what though?
But he's going through some stuff.
You guys. I think that they should honestly just get rid of Barry and they should try to keep Ron Parker.
Ron Parker is a corner that went to safety because
he was a safety that went to quarterback.
They said that he was.
But he has but you know what? They say he's too slow, but he had one of the fastest 40s in the combine. But he's good.
Ron Parker's good.
He went to Newberry.
Yeah, I know. Not here.
Not here, but yeah, he went to Newberry.
So did Donnell.
Yeah, Donnell. Yeah.
But you got to pay Houston.
Yeah, you got to pay Houston. But I'm saying get rid of. I'm saying. Keep Houston, get rid of Barry, and sign Parker.
Yeah. Phillip Gaines and Marcus Cooper are good, and you still have Sean Smith.
Right.
That team's good.
All right. So now we have the Giants and Jason Pierre-Paul.
No, let him walk. Let him walk.
Yep.
Let him walk easily. What would your dad say? Let him walk. Why would pay? He's gonna want a big deal.
My dad would say try and keep him.
No, he's gonna want a big deal.
Let him go. All right. Then we have the Eagles and Jeremy Maclin. He's still the best receiver on that team.
Jordan Matthews.
He'll be there. He'll be there.
I'm hearing Maclin might be out though. I heard Maclin.
They need to really put in.
But I think he'll stay.
They really need to put in an effort.
That he'd fit the role pretty
There-
good.
he's on-
You
he's
need to let-
high.
You got to get rid of Percy, dude. I'm sorry.
They are. I think they will.
have to.
I think
We'll
they
get
will.
to the Jets in just
We'll
a
get
second.
there.
Yeah,
You
we
gotta
will
do
get to
it.
the Jets in just
But
a
yeah, I think they need to keep Macklin, kind of like B.J. Rogers.
Yeah,
He's a
it's
fan
just-
favorite.
He's a
Yeah,
fan
and he's
favorite.
a deep threat.
Yeah, I mean, once Jordan Matthews becomes the top target, then Macklin could possibly
Yeah,
look
yeah.
at be retiring because he'd be that old.
Right.
But I think you need to keep Macklin.
No, they should definitely try
And
to
then-
sell it out. They should.
And then we have the Steelers and linebacker Jason Worlds.
Yeah, he's gonna stay.
He's
good.
gonna
No,
be big.
I
He's
mean,
gonna
I
be
don't know who
filthy
else they're
for
going to
that.
have if they let him go,
I mean,
honestly.
they-
That defense is
You need Timmons
atrocious.
and Worlds on
Oh,
that
you see,
defense.
There was a video.
James Harrison's staying
There
on
was
that
a
team too,
video
which
of
is dumb.
James Harrison. Did you see that video?
Of him benching a girl?
No.
Oh,
There was a
it's
video
not a
of
picture of
James.
him
There was a
benching.
video of James Harrison.
Oh, with the
One-
yeah,
He
yeah.
walks up to the
Yeah.
bench and he puts it on. He put on like 245s on each side, and then
And
he got down like he was in a bench like. Whoo, whoo. He's like, I'm sorry, I just how I stretch before I don't do the bench, and then he picks it up with
Yeah.
one arm. And he's going like
lifts it
this.
above his head.
He's a monster.
Yeah.
Freak of nature. He
Yeah.
also has a video where he jumps out of a pool.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like he's in a pool,
Yeah.
and
he
it's up
jumps
to his
out of
chest,
it.
and he jumps up perfectly straight and lands outside of the pool.
Yeah. Dude's a
Freak
monster.
of nature.
All right,
Yeah.
you know what though? Even though James Harrison production is obviously way down, it is nice to have a guy in your team who's probably the most intimidating person.
When
on
the Bengals
planet.
had him,
Yeah.
I loved him. Now that he's on the Steelers, I hate him.
When he was on the
But-
Steelers, you hated him. He came to the
He came to
Bengals,
the
and you
Bengals,
loved
loved him. Now he's
back
back,
with the
hate him.
Steelers,
so
and
you
you hate him.
secretly kind of still.
But
love
he's
him.
just he's that
A
kind
little
of
bit.
player.
A little bit.
I would have no problem if we got him. Even though he's old as
Yeah.
dust. I mean,
Yeah.
still,
Yeah,
you can't say
I
no
love
to that
James.
guy.
He's a character.
Yeah.
All right, so now we go to Fitz's Jets.
Yeah.
They have David Harris and Dewan Landry. I mean,
Landry, you can let walk.
All right, Landry, you need to let walk. And
But
I
you were
just-
saying
no, this is so
safety, bum
this is
safety.
so hard for me.
you were gonna say
But it's time
you
to
were
go.
saying
It's
let
time to go
David
for
Harris go.
go.
Yeah.
He's getting slower by the year. He can't cover
And-
tight ends.
Yeah, and honestly, like if you're a linebacker and you're slow, but you can stop the run, fine. But he's starting to
He's
step
starting
back
to
and
step
just- yeah.
back, and it's time
You
for
got to
him to
let
go.
every person you named has to go. I think.
Yes.
Landry's a bum.
Yeah.
Yes,
Landry's a bum
Landry
safety.
is a
I
bum.
think-
I think, but
I like
Garvin.
LaRon Landry.
Let
LaRon
them all
Landry's
go.
good,
They're
but
all
DeJuan
terrible.
Landry.
Get rid of
No.
all of them.
Yeah.
I think the biggest thing for the
Harbin
Jets.
has to go.
I think the biggest thing for the Jets is they need to look for some way to make their secondary like great without spending a bunch of money on it
I like, you know what I
because they need to definitely fix their offense.
I like their
Focus the
secondary
money-
more than he does. There's people in that secondary I admire, and I say that I think they're good. Just give them time, and he hates them. I think Milner is good. I think he's real good. I think Pryor is going to be very good, and you say he's a bum, but I think
He's a
Pryor
bum.
is going to be very good. Calvin Pryor has the chance to be very good.
But-
I really
Okay,
think
all right,
so.
but here's what I think they
But if
need
you
to
look
do.
at it, what happened last year, they had so many injuries,
Oh,
and
yeah.
they could not just get their secondary together.
Milner is always gets
hit or
hurt.
miss, too, though.
He always
he
gets
can-
hurt.
I think it was more. Of a
I think
miss in
they
the
need to
draft
get
than
rid
they
of
should have been.
Landry, and then I think they need to go out in free agency and get a guy like Darian Stewart from Baltimore who's going to be a free agent this year or
Yeah.
something like that. Like you said, who's not too expensive.
I hate
Right.
to say this,
Yeah.
but when the Jets, and granted the Jets, you'll agree, the quarterback, not
Yeah.
really, kind of would talk about like Ryan Lindley. You could have a good receiver and probably not be able to have him have production because their quarterbacks are terrible.
Right.
But when you guys got Percy Harvin for a 6th-round draft pick, remember that?
Yeah.
For a 6th-round draft pick, I was like, what a steal. Now I wish you had the 6th-round draft pick back.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have the headaches of him, what do we do with him?
Yeah.
And you would have another draft pick.
And
Sure.
you
Honestly, it's 6th round, but I still would rather have the 6th-round draft pick at
Right.
this point than Percy
Right.
Harvin.
right
probably.
because like
Sad
even
to
if
say, but it's true.
even if you keep Harbin, you still have to pay him a buttload
Well,
of
he's
money.
gonna want, yeah,
Yeah.
But don't you have to pay him if they get rid of him? He's getting money too.
Yeah.
If they get rid of him, he gets some more
So you
money.
give up.
But
if you
I
take
think
rid
more
of
money
him, they
goes
got.
from
They only give
Seattle,
up a
though.
It's less
6.
money, but
I think Seattle's paying a bit of it too.
yeah, they are. They
Right.
were since he
Right.
left. Yeah,
I mean, I don't know. It's interesting.
So we're gonna do a complete 180 and go from the worst to the best. What do the Patriots need to do in the offseason? Because
They probably need to sign
Other than
McCourty.
because-
They
Logan
need to
Ryan.
sign McCourty.
It's
They
not.
need to sign
other than
Ruben.
release Logan Ryan.
Yeah, Logan Ryan. Yeah,
but they
I heard they crucified him on Newberry Street during the parade.
but they do need to re-sign Revis and McCourty
Yes,
for that
Revis-
secondary
yes,
to be
yes.
for that secondary
Revis
to be good.
is a must.
Yeah,
You
Revis is.
have
I'm
to
sorry,
sign
I forgot Revis.
I-
Revis is number one. Then McCourty's
Give-
number
But if he
two.
goes to New York Jets,
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh my god,
but Revis
Oh,
like
you have to sign
I,
Revis.
I would
they
give
do.
Revis dumb money just to stay. Like you need to sign McCourty
Is
because
McCourty
he's
better?
gonna,
Is
Are we gonna go back to the
Who's more valuable to that team?
okay?
that's a stupid question.
Well,
Obviously,
I'm just saying.
Revis. You gotta.
That's how New England
Revis
Is
is
Jason
one
better
of a
than his
kind.
brother? I think he is. I think he is.
I think for what
Just
they were
because he
both
shines
drafted
in
for.
Tennessee, because Tennessee sucks at the secondary.
For what they were both drafted for, like if you remember, they drafted Devin as a corner, and he was horrible.
Yeah.
And I was saying that they should release him. All of a sudden, he moves to safety, and he grows into the position after a couple of years and becomes very good at it.
Hey, what about Denard? What do you think about Denard?
I think if he wasn't bothered by shoulder injuries, he would have been
better than his brother.
He would have been better
not even
this
being
year.
biased, but he's not better than his brother.
No, he's not better than his brother. But
Denard on Cincinnati is better.
But I think that he would have been better at what the Patriots were playing him at if he wasn't bugged by shoulder injuries almost the entire year.
I think New England needs to go out and get a receiver somehow.
We
talk about this.
I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Every week.
We'll talk to the Flakegate of our show. All we talk about is that New England needs to get a receiver.
Hey, I'd rather talk about that than the Flakegate.
Oh my god!
Yo, this whole Deflategate though is turning out to be like a scam against the Patriots. It ended up
literally. I don't want to hear about this.
Yeah, I don't either.
That's enough of that. That's all you'll hear about from Deflategate on our show.
Sadly.
Enough of that. So then we go to the Seahawks, and this is going to be a little bit of a paragraph here. They have James Carpenter on the offensive line.
Keep him.
Ricardo Lockett and Jermaine Kearse, Byron Maxwell, as well as extensions for Marshawn Lynch if he doesn't retire, which he probably won't, and then Russell Wilson. Now, I was reading this thing on NFL.com. It's from Ian Rappaport. It was what he said on NFL Total Access on Thursday. He said, according to the people I've spoken to, it is not out of the realm of possibility that Russell Wilson will receive the first fully guaranteed contract extension for a quarterback, something that is a rarity in the NFL. Not a rarity, it just doesn't happen. It simply doesn't happen, but in this case, it really might happen, and Seahawks GM John Schneider has talked about it in the past as an unconventional type of contract, quote, unquote. So if we're looking at Wilson getting over $25 million a year, which is what the speculation was.
Absurd.
Which is filthy. It is stupid money. They can't even afford any of those other guys.
Hold on. Kearse.
Get rid of him.
Chris Matthews proved that he is good enough in one game by being that big that you can use him as a receiver. Yes. I think you got to keep Lockett, though. I love Ricardo Lockett.
So I definitely think that they keep Lockett, and they're going to boost Matthews in the offense. But Kearse made so many emotionally great catches for them that they're probably going to keep him.
I don't know how you can.
I don't know.
I don't know how you can.
But we're looking at this from...
If you're giving Wilson that contract, you better put some guys around.
Whatever happened... All right. I'm going to go with what you just said.
We're looking from an analyst point of view because... As a fan and as a team, they're going to keep Kearse as that emotional back.
J. Raji, it's the same thing.
And I agree with you 87.6% of the time.
The other 12%.
What you just said is he had emotional catches.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure over winter break, I was in Florida and I went to a Sonic and I got a chili dog. I'm pretty sure David Tyree handed me the chili dog. And David Tyree had one of the craziest catches ever. Now what is David Tyree doing? Making chili dogs at Sonic. So Jermaine Kearse's crazy catch in the Super Bowl doesn't mean that he's going to get a contract in the NFL. True. He could probably get a job at Sonic. But I don't think that there's a emotional connection with the catch he made. You agree they got to let him walk?
No, I 100% agree with you. I'm not for Sonic. Maybe it'll be in the CFL or something, but...
What? So Sonic's a step above the CFL.
Yeah.
It is.
But just even in this case, do you think it's smart for the Seahawks to spend that much money on Russell Wilson?
No.
Thank you. Everyone, I talked to a couple of people that said it was smart.
Let's be totally honest with ourselves.
Remember the argument you made when I said you take away his legs? You're like, you take away Brady's arm.
Oh, yeah, okay. But, all right, let's be totally honest right now. Would Seattle be as good? Would they get this far in the past 2 years? Was for their defense?
No.
God, no.
Right, okay.
No.
Not even close.
Let's go with what got us here, their defense. And let's not, Wilson's going to want a big contract.
Right.
You can still give him a big contract. But you don't have to give him such a big contract that you can't sign anyone else on your team.
And then fully guarantee it. That's a big thing because with fully guaranteed money, that's all cap money.
It's wasted money. It's gone.
That is all cap money.
Every year it's gone. It's deducted. It's there.
Right.
It's already a spent.
Right.
It's not an asset
I think that is a stupid contract.
It is.
Look what Sanford did with Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Now they're stuck with that. And what happened last year? They're starting to decline.
Right.
And guess what they're going to be?
And it's not just a decline, it's a sharp free fall.
Sanford's going to be one of those teams who can't get anybody because they gave a too big of a contract to a quarterback who probably didn't deserve to get that contract that he did.
Right.
And Wilson does not deserve that contract. I'm sorry.
Wilson is
I
better
agree
than
with you on that
Kaepernick.
alone.
But I don't think Wilson's a top 10 quarterback. I'm
And
sorry.
I agree with you so much on that. And
And I
said
can
this
sit
last
here and name 10 guys, and I want to see if you agree with every one.
All right.
Brady,
Yes.
Manning,
Yes.
Breeze,
Yes.
Rivers,
Yes.
Rodgers,
Yes.
Newton,
Yes.
Ryan, Matt Ryan.
Yes.
Matt Ryan?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was
Yes.
gonna say, last year
Yes.
he had an off year last year.
Where am I at?
7. You're
7?
almost at 8.
Did I say Roethlisberger?
Nope.
Okay, Roethlisberger, Romo,
Yeah.
and Matt Stafford.
I don't agree with you on Stafford.
Okay, fine. I'll say another one. If you take Stafford away, we can throw in Alex
Geno
Smith.
Smith.
Alex Smith.
Alex Smith?
I don't know. I don't.
You just stuck my
Okay,
heart.
you can
The
say he's
most-
the 10th best quarterback of the year. I said fine. I'll agree with you.
No,
He's in the-
Flacco's better.
Flacco's better.
Yeah.
Flacco's better.
Flacco's better. Flacco's
Yes.
better.
Bye-bye, Daddy.
Dalton's better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I swear on my
yes.
mother's life I would take Dalton over him.
Would you really?
Want to know why? Because
I don't
what
think I'd
happens?
take
What
Dalton.
happens when you take away the offensive line that he has, which is one of the best?
Okay, then what happens if you take away Sanu and Green from him, dude? That's a valid argument right there.
No, you can't compare receivers to an offensive
actually,
line.
Actually, hold on. It's a little bit more of a valid argument because Wilson has almost no one to throw to.
Wilson has nobody throw the
But his
ball.
offensive
That's
line
why he
is
runs
perfect.
around all the time.
But his
He's-
offense is
He's
perfect.
waiting for his
No.
scrub
I
receivers
would
of
take
Carson
Dalton.
Baldwin
I
to
would
run
take
around
Dalton.
until the quarterbacks get tired. They're like, oh, all right, and then he's
Dalton.
open. Yeah, every
Dalton.
time.
Oh,
Dude.
man.
Dalton.
No
All right.
way.
Dalton.
No way. You're crazy.
We were
dude.
already talking.
You're crazy if you don't think Stafford's better than him.
I don't because Stafford has a Calvin Johnson effect. He's like
Stafford had put
he's
up,
the Dante Culpepper of 2015.
Stafford put up nasty numbers
He
in
is,
years
he
that
is
Johnson has done
Culpepper
nothing.
effect.
Stafford has put up nasty
When did
numbers.
Calvin Johnson do nothing since this year?
This was the worst year Calvin Johnson could possibly have.
Right. He
Right.
missed like 6 games. It was still super.
Right, that's what I'm
productive.
saying. Other than this year, when did Stafford or when him and Stafford
he had a
not together?
He had a mediocre year the year before when they didn't make the playoffs again.
Tier man just stuck in the middle right now.
All right, let's get to the next team.
All right.
We'll talk about this after.
Yeah, we can always talk more about this later. So we were just talking about them, the 49ers, where they have Frank Gore,
They're screwed.
Michael Crabtree, and Mike Umpati.
You let them all walk except Upati because
You need to keep him. He's one of the
he's
best offensive
guards.
linemen in
Yeah,
the
one of
league.
best guards in the
Hands
league.
down.
You gotta get
Offensive line it should always be top
Always
priority.
kept, yeah.
Always should be top
Yeah.
priority.
You let Gore walk because he had an awful year except for like 2
And they
games,
use
and
Hyde-
Carlos
they
Hyde is
use
good.
Hyde more.
And
Yeah.
you let Crabtree go because that team.
Gore's also super old,
All
and I
right,
think he
can
should
you
retire
agree-
with the 49ers.
Can you agree with me? And you kind of just said it, but sadly enough, it started with Harbaugh leaving, them signing a no-name coach, their offensive line having injuries, their linebackers having off-field issues, their
injuries.
and injuries, their secondary never being good, their no-name safeties, their sub-average wide receivers, and aging wide receiver
Yeah.
and aging running back.
Running back.
Would you say that they are in a rebuilding stage?
Yes.
They
Or
have-
a rebuilding?
they-
No,
they have
as
to
of
be.
right now, no. Next year, when they start getting rid of more people, I think they're in rebuilding.
I think they
stage.
are now.
I think they're starting.
No,
the
because
rebuilding
they-
all
process.
right, because no,
Yes.
I'm
They kind
saying
of-
for
they
right
kind of
now, they
have to
still
start
think
the
they still think right now because they were an average team last year, and I feel like you're going into this year and you're biased. You're you know what I mean. If you're management of that team, you're like we
I
could
think
still make a
They have
playoff.
no
push.
receivers.
I think
Right,
you're saying.
right. But I'm saying though is that I think after next year that'll be the
If you're
reality
saying
check.
Fred, I think you just build around
You-
Kaepernick. That's
You have
Sadly,
to.
you
You
have
have
to
to.
because
You
of what
have
you
to.
did to him.
Right, that's what I'm
And
saying.
because
You have to. You
You
don't have
gave
a
him
choice.
that big contract. Now you
don't have
can't
a choice,
do anything.
really.
Now you're
Major
Now
bet.
you
Now
have
you
to
got to
pay
lay in it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think the best part about
I
the
think
49ers
slowly
organization right now,
starting to go around Kaepernick and Hyde.
I think the best part of the San Francisco organization right now is their new stadium. Because that team needs to start
And the stadium
rebuilding
is sick.
horribly.
I saw it. I
Yeah.
saw it over the summer. It's
Yeah.
sick.
It's
so sick.
dirty.
It is.
But they
Better
need
than
to start.
Oakland's.
But they need to start rebuilding this team because they quickly fell off, and it wasn't like they slowly declined. This is a team that went from a playoff contender and going to the Super Bowl to not even coming close. And there was more games where they
Well,
were
they're eight-
brutally
were they
outplayed
8-8?
than others.
This year?
Yeah.
No, they were
But going
7-9.
back-
7-9.
Going back to what I said about Seattle, about when they were good, the number one factor of that team was their defense.
Yeah.
If you think about it, their defense got them to the
No,
Super Bowl.
Credit. San Fran was missing Willis and
Bowman and Smith.
And they should have never, ever, ever,
Now,
ever have gotten rid of Bolden.
and Quan Bolden.
Yeah.
I don't think that was like. I think that was he walked in free agency though.
Right, but I'm saying that if I was them, I would have tried to keep him.
But
Because,
I think Navarro Bowman is overrated.
I think so.
yes,
Besides the fact that he is
They have a couple-
literally
They have a couple.
he's
young
literally smaller
linebackers.
than Tierman. He's 5'9".
Yeah.
I used to get in an argument with a kid in my art class in high school every day about who was better, Patrick Willis or Navarro Bowman.
It's always Patrick Willis.
Oh, it's always.
I hope
he
that-
agreed. He told me that Navarro Bowman was better, and I said, "You're crazy."
You have to
Hopefully
laugh-
He checked
you-
himself into in a hospital
Because
That's
Patrick
some
Willis
stupid
is
comment.
one of those freaking nature
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
That's
Here's-
like
Here's where
He's gonna put up 100 tackles every year blindfolded.
right, yeah. Like even when he's like
He sniffs
50,
out the
yeah, even
football,
when he's
like,
50,
yeah.
he's gonna yeah.
with those
Yeah.
two guys though, does that elevate them to a playoff contender in a sense? That's
No,
my
but it gives them good leadership to build around, so that they can
You guys
get
see-
to that
You
point.
see
Alden
Kaepernick
Smith's the
get in a
youngest,
fight with a
though.
guy on
On Twitter, yeah.
Yeah.
Told him he sucked at life.
Yeah.
Alden Smith's the youngest of that trio.
No, they also have a couple of
What's
good
Ju-
young linebackers
What's the other
that filled in
Smith?
for
What's the other Smith on the line? The white guy.
Justin Smith.
Justice Smith. Is
Yeah.
he still there?
Yeah.
He's pretty good. He's pretty
Their
solid.
secondary is awful.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
Chris
that's their
Culver,
biggest.
Chris Cook, and
Dante Whitner is he even with them anymore?
yeah, he is, but he's
Okay.
old as grandpa, and
Yeah.
they're just
Dante Hittner.
yeah.
No, I think they're at that time where they're gonna need.
I
to
think
start
they're rebuilding,
I
All
do
right.
too. I think they're slowly going.
getting to that full process.
So we have
yeah.
two. So we have two more one shots. We have Brian Arakpo for the Redskins.
He's
Gone.
going because you have to let him go because he is.
He's older.
One good year,
Yeah.
one actual good year in the NFL. Would you
Yep.
say, Brian
pretty much.
Arakpo? And the rest after you had 1 year, somehow fans stayed with him and thought he was solid, but I don't think he is.
And then we have Rams defensive end Alex Carrington, who, I mean, they can make a
That
case.
defense
to-
is good enough that they could let him walk.
Oh, it definitely is. I
They
just
need
think
a
that. I mean,
quarterback.
you probably could keep him, or you could like sign and then trade him. Maybe.
They actually need a receiver because
I think they
Kenny Britt is older. He's good, but he's older. Tavon Austin is terrible. Tavon Austin is a Ted Ginn cancer patient. And Stedman Bailey is good, but he's like 5'8".
have fun editing this.
Oh my gosh, that's gonna be the greatest.
There's
Oh,
what's wrong with saying that? That's
say.
real. That's real life. He is.
Yeah.
He's you think that any
No,
part
I'm just,
of
I think St.
Tavon
Louis
Austin
needs
would
to
ever be
move to
more
LA.
than a
I
Ted
think that
Ginn?
needs to happen.
no,
Well, that was the other thing.
I'm
It was
just
like the
saying-
Chargers were looking at going to LA too, and we can talk about that like next
Who?
week. The Chargers were looking to go to LA.
No, I won't be here for that show. I hate talking about that crap. That's
No,
so
well, that's a
stupid.
huge
Yeah.
deal though when it comes to like free agents and stuff like that.
Yeah,
People are
when
gonna
it
wanna go
comes
for-
to if you go to the Niners stadium, it looks like the inside of this radio booth. That no one wants to go there because it's like the worst
Are
stadium
you talking
ever.
about Raiders?
No, I'm talking about the Niners and the Raiders. The Niners need a new stadium. The Raiders need a new stadium. The
The
Chargers need a
Niners
new
got a
stadium.
new stadium.
Yes, Candlestick was a dump. That
Oh,
was
yeah,
proving
yeah.
a point.
Yeah.
No one wanted to go there.
Right.
Then they started building a solid team. Now they have a new stadium. Now,
Oh, I've been to the Raiders stadium before.
yeah,
Yo, that Rentschler Field's nicer than.
it's like Hartford.
Yeah,
It's like the Hartford, the Connecticut Crush
it is.
women
Yeah,
play.
yeah, it's terrible.
It's bad.
It's terrible.
But they still sell out.
yeah, they
That's
do.
dedication.
They
They don't
sell
sell
out.
Oakland. I went to an Oakland A's game, but
Well, how do you feel about sharing with Oakland A's and the Chargers? If you're going to share with three teams are going to share one stadium.
No.
First
no,
off,
I think it's gonna be one or the other, right? It's not
no,
gonna-
it's going to be
It-
a
it would
dual
be
stadium for the
both.
Chargers and the
That's what
and
they're
the
drawing.
Raiders.
That's what they're drawing up right now. It was this article on
When
NFL.com.
That's not
Candlestick,
gonna
when
work.
Candlestick was
That'll
a
ruin
dump,
both franchises.
when Candlestick was a dump, they talked about the Niners moving,
Yeah.
and that would have been just stupid. And I don't like the idea of it. Are they going to change the name?
No.
Is it going to be the L.A. Chargers and the L.A. Raiders again? I mean, I don't like the sharing stadiums.
No,
That's
it's-
stupid.
No, it's stupid. I mean, other than the
You do it now.
Jets and Giants, but I mean that's like so old. Like that's like
It's
a
been
tradition
around.
thing.
Why
It's
would you
been
do it
right,
now?
right, yeah. Like I mean, they tried to build a Jet stadium in Brooklyn.
It kind
but
of is like
it
the
didn't work out.
Clippers and the Lakers in terms that if you actually were to look at ticket sales when the Lakers were here and the Clippers were here, it literally was this. It was all Lakers fans, and now it's all Clippers fans.
No,
so
it's still got to be pretty even.
It's
though.
really not. You have the dedicated Lakers fans that will always stick by
Right.
the Lakers, but the young kids that are our age that don't know, haven't been around in sports long enough that Clippers are nasty, Chris Paul, they're all there. If you're a football fan and you're in LA, you haven't had a professional sports team in LA since the Raiders in 93 or whatever year 94 or whatever year they left. So now you have the option to pick a team. Chargers compete every year. Oakland's in the cellar every year. You share a stadium with those two teams, I guarantee you it works out better for the Chargers than it does for Oakland. Because all those fans in Oakland that go to the black hole aren't going to be traveling. And let's talk about poverty. Look at how low income Oakland is. You can go get a seat at an Oakland Raiders game for $7 and have amazing seats.
Yeah.
And that's why they do so well.
Oakland
Their fans
is also
are dedicated.
like 6 hours from LA. That's a completely
That's
different
why.
side of
Different
side of California.
That's why it would be detrimental to them.
Yeah, it would.
All
It
right.
really would.
Benefit San Diego better.
Yeah, it does.
So we're just gonna spend the last half hour doing a bit of draft talk, talking about the top 5 draft picks,
Talk about
draft prospects from each position, and try and figure out what round these guys may go or to what
Well,
team.
there's tons of teams we didn't talk about, but not every team has
Yeah.
big free agents.
So we're just gonna start off right with one of the biggest areas. We have quarterback. We have Jameis Winston from Florida State, Marcus Mariota from Oregon, Brett Hundley from UCLA, Bryce Petty from Baylor, and Garrett Grayson from Colorado State. Now, Mariota will be throwing at the Combine, and Winston was undecided, but I was just reading these updates from the ESPN app on my phone. It said Winston is experiencing a weakness in his throwing shoulder, and he had tests done at the Combine. And then Bill Polian said that we should not see his shoulder weakness as a red flag at this point. So, I mean, that's just something that just
you ever
happened.
find that the media is so... I mean, we're all in media because we're doing the radio show. You ever find how
Right.
stupid they are? Did you hear about the report that when Jameis showed up, they thought, oh my God, his stomach looked too big?
yeah, they didn't
Yeah.
notice the fact that there was something wrapped around his stomach, the parachute.
Come on. Are you serious? Why do we speculate the dumbest... You know what? Why?
Yeah.
Why do we He has a different haircut, so he's going to play differently. Why do we do
It's
that?
just a storyline.
It's just something that they can add to a storyline
it's
to make bigger
ridiculous.
ratings. You have
He's
names
going to
that-
go one,
Yeah.
and
To
that's
Tampa.
that's the end of the situation.
Yeah. I mean,
Mariota's not going one unless something amazing comes out of the Combine with him.
yeah, I mean, the whole
I think
thing,
he's having a
the
pretty
whole
good
thing is that they
combine,
try and
but-
milk a
Oh, he will.
storyline.
Do you? I think I don't know. It's so weird to try to like describe this.
Mhm.
I think that Mariota's had a better college career than Winston.
Oh, he had a way better year. Winston threw so many picks this year.
Right, and Mariota threw 3.
And this
But
is
Winston
no,
is
but
more of an NFL quarterback.
oh, can I?
Yeah.
All right, can I say going off of what you said before, how you were saying about impressions, like we were talking about Fitzgerald. You remember what he did last, as opposed to, well, everyone was saying Mariota was until the bowl game,
And look, exactly.
and
So
Jameis,
that's
even though they
proof.
got blown out by
Played
Oregon,
pretty. He
played
put that
pretty-
team on his back.
other than the stupid,
fallen-
yeah.
He put the team on his back in
He
that
did,
game. And when
he
they
did.
were, from a fan standpoint, when they were out of the game,
Yeah.
he would make a push.
Yeah.
And bring them back. Like
So-
after halftime. So
Mar-
Winston's way more NFL ready than Mariota, I think.
Right. And
They both have size, though. I mean,
Right.
solid size.
Yeah, but
Winston's a little bit
I
bigger than
think
Mariota.
Mariota got to
so
get
we
this.
already
I
know.
don't
Right.
We
think
already
we're
know
que-
that.
I don't think we're questioning their on-field skills. I think it's off the field. That's the biggest red flag.
So
for,
you would take Mariota over Winston?
yes.
Okay,
Yes, I
that's what
would.
you were getting at.
That's-
But as we
yes.
look at, we already know
I
that.
think it's good for Jameis to get out of the state of Florida.
Yeah.
I
I mean,
personally, I really think it'd be better for him to get out of Florida.
yeah.
I really do.
So we already know that Mariota and Winston are gone within the first round, like top 10 easy anyway. But we look at Hundley, Petty, and Grayson as the other 3 in the top 5. I mean, they're gonna slide maybe to the third round at
I think
earliest.
Hundley's pretty good. I think he's probably
He
the
is,
third
but he's
best.
not. Yeah, he's the third
I think
best.
he's the third best.
There's only 3 really.
Right,
Should've
and
had
I
him
did-
on top of-
last year.
I think Hundley.
Hundley? Yeah, probably.
I think
but
he should've came out
he's
last
his
year,
body.
but-
I don't think his body's ready now. He's like you see how he's like tall and slender.
I like
But
him
he's
though.
kind of like Brady when he came out of college. I mean, like
You can
Brady
you will
dropped
never
weight.
be able to compare any quarterback to
I'm
Tom
saying,
Brady coming out
I'm
of college.
saying physique wise, because Brady was super slender
No,
coming
this
out
guy's
of
no. This
Michigan.
dude's like this dude's like Glennon coming out. Like, Glennon put on like 40 pounds when he got to the NFL.
Yeah,
Glennon at NC State was like 6'6" and 10 pounds. And
His
that's what this dude
pads
is.
weighed more than he did.
Yeah.
And, yeah. All right, so at running back, we have...
You made the interesting point. We'll talk about it, but you made the interesting
Keep going.
point with how Cooper is dropping below Kevin White. And I said that, even though Kevin White wasn't even in the Heisman talks, Kevin White is the better receiver, and Kevin White will probably go before Cooper. And it looks like it might happen.
So, all right, so we'll move to wide receiver right now because we have Amari Cooper out of Alabama, Kevin White out of West Virginia, Devontae Parker out of Louisville, and Jalen Strong out of Arizona State, and then Green Beckham out of Oklahoma. Darrell Green Beckham.
I'm taking Cooper.
You got to have a little bias there.
Maybe it's,
You're a huge Bama fan.
Maybe it's because week in, week out,
he would produce.
You always saw highlights out of Cooper, but that's because, I mean, they wanted that. They wanted
quarterback throwing the ball too.
We can't say he had the elite QB because Blake Sims
gets the Benelli look of shame.
He did his job.
But
Blake Sims. That's it. Now was Blake Sims good because
everyone around him was good?
Exactly.
Like McCarron. McCarron's definitely better than Blake Sims, but McCarron's no dream quarterback.
No. Was better. McElroy, whatever the hell his name is.
McElroy. That sounds like a dog from the Jetsons.
No,
whatever his name is.
But I just think week in, week out.
He was on your team. You should know his name.
He's getting
7th string on your team.
Yeah,
no,
he's a scrub.
He won one game.
These Bama quarterbacks are scrubs.
Right, that's what
they are once they come out. Great
because
college careers are the Tyler Hansbroughs of basketball and football.
I think that from a Cooper standpoint, or from a GM standpoint, he played against the best week in, week out, and he just killed
Cooper's
them.
listed as 6 feet.
I think he's a little taller than that.
I think he's a little smaller than that.
You think he's...
Yeah, because he was standing next to Melvin Gordon,
who
was 5'9".
Yeah.
He
was
Melvin Gordon's 5'9", and he was barely above Melvin Gordon. And Melvin Gordon's
they always exaggerate it.
Well,
they always give him an inch.
Right.
Obviously.
I mean, but the whole thing...
I thought it was 6.
But the whole
6'1".
thing with...
No, he's not 6'1". They have him listed as 6. He's probably 6.
I mean,
now
David Hart's listed as 6'3" in the Newberry pamphlet.
6'6" on the golf roster. I'd love to be 6'6".
Yeah.
I'm probably 6'6" in heels.
On the golf roster.
But the whole thing for me is that with the way the NFL is going nowadays, talent is huge. But at the same time, they're looking for a lot of the bigger and faster receivers. You're going to see a lot more receivers coming out of college, like Jalen Strong, who's like 6'6".
That was Trent Dilfer insight right there. Talent is huge in the NFL.
I told you that he might be I said that Cooper might be a slot guy, and you called me crazy.
I still think you're crazy.
You think he's still an outside guy?
He has to be. Tierman, let me explain it to you real quick.
Does it depend?
All right, no.
Does it depend on the team that he goes to?
Yes. High five for the smartest comment you've ever said. Because let me explain this to you. If he's going in the top 10, he's going to teams that don't give a flying rat's you know what? They need a receiver.
Right.
So they're not going to... If he goes top 5, those top 5 teams are taking a receiver because they don't have anyone else to play receiver.
Well, unless
you don't take
because they have Evans.
But you don't take a good receiver and throw him in the slot.
Yeah.
If you have no one.
Right.
And the Bucs would never take a receiver because they need a quarterback.
Right.
Every team that's going to draft Cooper is going to need to put him outside because there's no one else.
I think the earliest that he goes is 2 to the Titans.
What if he slips to 12?
What?
Giants. What do? Do you put him outside or do
they
you
don't need a receiver?
They have Cruz and OBJ.
I don't think Cruz is...
And Randall. Ruben Randall's a good receiver.
They're set at receiver.
They're stacked.
I think that Cooper goes earlier. I mean, the earliest.
You're arguing a stupid point because
I'm just saying
you're arguing a stupid point because if you go to the Giants, they're going to put Odell in the slot.
You draft in the first round. He's going in the first round no matter what. And you're drafting a first rounder unless he falls, which is not going to happen.
Right. So do you agree with me? He's definitely an outside receiver. Obviously, okay.
All right, because if you're like, all right, so you want to? I think a better argument you're trying to say is, what if he falls all the way to the end of the draft, which won't happen? But let's say he falls to the Patriots. He's obviously going to be an outside receiver on the Pats, too.
I think he's probably an outside receiver. I think that Kevin White is...
Because
I love Jalen Strong because of his size, but Kevin White is 6'4", and he's big, and he's athletic, but he's thin. but he can catch a football.
Because with the Cooper thing,
his hands are
if
ridiculous.
He's going to be really good.
Yeah,
quietly.
If he did go to the Giants, you got Randall, Beckham,
Cruz and him. They don't need a receiver though.
They're not going to do it.
Yeah, we're arguing that.
They need other things.
All right,
like a defense.
So
you know what's an interesting team that needs a receiver? And you're gonna call me crazy. The Saints. The Saints need a receiver.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah,
On the low, the Saints need a receiver.
Jimmy Graham is their best receiver.
Colston's on his way out.
Yeah.
Stills is injury prone, but he's solid.
Stills is
he's
like
tiny,
their
though.
biggest deep threat, though. He's super quick
No,
to get down
Cooks
the
is.
field.
Brandon Cooks.
We didn't talk about them, but since we're bringing it up,
Cooks was underrated coming out of last
They
year.
need to sign Mark Ingram. He's a free agent this year.
I don't like any running back they have, but I think they do need to sign him.
He was their best one.
Mark Ingram is a very good running. He had a great. He was when he came back from his injury.
But
He went off.
Before he was injured, he was going off. He was one of the top.
He makes that team very, very versatile.
They make him versatile because everyone Drew Brees.
55
throws a game.
When they're playing the pass, hand the ball off to Ingram, playing the run.
And they've never had that because Pierre Thomas is a bum. So they've never had that.
The last good running back they had was Deuce McAllister. Remember him?
Dude, yes, a monster.
And then before that, it was Ricky Williams.
Ricky Williams.
Smoking weed in Peru.
Yeah. So speaking of running backs, we have Melvin Gordon out of Wisconsin, Todd Gurley out of Georgia, Jay Ajayi out of Boise State, Abdullah out of Nebraska, Duke Johnson, Miami. If you want to add someone else, go for it.
No, but I don't know if you enjoy watching bowl games. Something I love.
Duke Johnson might be the best.
No, Jai, that dude out of
He's my
Boise
boy.
State. He had
seen
3 runs in that game. Honestly, there's a move in Madden where you can be running and just stop and defenders go flying by you.
That's his signature move.
He literally was
perfected
He was on a screen pass. He caught it. He was running full speed. He probably got 30 yards. He stops. The safety comes flying by, and then there's a D end who comes near him. He jumps forward real quick. The guy goes behind him.
I saw this play.
This guy is speed. He's elusive. He's power. He is the best running back in this draft.
Okay.
He is.
Will he go?
I'm just
first.
No.
He's
running back's
go
going
deep.
in the first
No.
round.
I mean, will he go first
as a running back?
As a running back.
Gordon will go first.
Just because
he's
the
Heisman
guy.
Gurley will go
the
because
only way
he's
that's going to change
before Ajayi too, because he's more well known.
Gurley drops.
Right.
Yeah, Gurley's
all right. Gurley.
When he said Gurley, I looked at you because that's SEC. That's us. I assumed I would go to you for this. He's going to drop pretty low. If you look at guys that dropped pretty low, yeah. If you look at guys in the SEC that dropped, was he that good before? Was he that good?
He was pretty good.
He was pretty good.
But was he good enough to say that he would have been better if he was healthy than like Melvin Gordon?
You could have put up more of a contention at that point, but I don't think so.
We also can take in the...
Todd Gurley was a Heisman candidate until he got hurt.
The type of football Wisconsin plays. Yeah. Ground, pound, boom.
That's
so...
True.
Like we said, running backs
is not better than Georgia.
I'm not saying
they can't recruit like Georgia.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying so Gordon's getting.
You're right. I mean, he's getting 40 his carries,
right?
Yeah.
But but what I was just gonna say is, besides being a Florida State,
third.
Besides being a Florida State fan, I think I love watching Boise State games because they're on at 10 at night. No one watches them, and it's just like something that like after a day, you can just sit down and watch it.
Speaking of Florida State.
You know
who is the worst? Florida State just makes me mad because they play no one, absolutely no one, and
they barely scratch
out wins. And when they have these guys who do good there, they come out and be busts.
All right,
James Wilder is the worst player the Bengals could have ever wasted time on.
I would have never expected him to be drafted. Period.
I would never expected him to be in the NFL.
Benjamin came out of Florida State. He's good.
All
right, but I can say the same thing about Boise though too.
Right, but
Matt Moore,
Kellen Clemens. Remember when
Cole Beasley? Didn't he come out?
Yeah,
Kyle Wilson.
Yes, but how often does a power and speed running back come to the NFL? I don't care if you went to a Division III school.
And
if you're good enough to get your name in draft talks in the first and second round, and you are elusive, you have power and speed.
What I was going to say,
he's going to go. He's going to be solid.
What I was going to say though is
I'm not saying he's out. I'm just making a point.
Yeah.
When I was going to say though is like I've become a bit of a Boise State fan only because like their games are so good to watch because Ajayi would take a run that would probably be like a 5-yard loss because the line broke down, and he'd turn it into like a 5-yard gain. It was just like he found a way to get through the line and all that mess and push it for an advance. And I think that's something that any team can use. And as NFL teams start to use more of like a cycle, like a rotation for running backs, he'd fit in great with almost any team.
Yeah.
So it's like anyone would try and want this kind of running back, and it's hard to find that kind of talent to fit any kind of system too. So I think it would work. All right, so we go to tight ends now, where we have Max Williams out of Minnesota, Walford out of Miami, Jesse James out of Penn State, Nick O'Leary out of Florida State, and Koyak out of Notre Dame. I mean, it doesn't seem like a strong position this year in the draft.
No,
anyway.
because a lot of those guys are blocking tight ends.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but teams need that, so.
Besides O'Leary.
Yeah,
He's a bit more of a receiver than anything, yeah.
Yeah, but also, you know what else is interesting, too, is how many positions will change. Every year, if you watch the Combine, there's about a good handful of guys. I'm not going to put a number on it, but there's a good handful of guys that change positions.
Yeah.
Come in as a corner, leave as a safety. Come in as a receiver, leave as a tight end.
Denard Robertson.
Yeah.
There's a huge difference between last year's draft class and this year's draft class. Last year, talent was stacked. This year,
Stupid.
Like, ridiculous.
This year has the quarterback. It has the two most elite quarterbacks in college football.
Even though last year the quarterback got so much because of Manziel,
Bridgewater, Bortles. That was good.
Carr, which I think
Carr's the best out of all.
Yes,
that's what I say.
Carr.
He got snubbed, but yeah.
No, I think Carr is the best. Was the best in that.
No, he gets snubbed by a lot of people because you had Manziel and he was putting up pretty numbers in college.
These dudes have better college careers though. Mariota and Winston.
Oh yeah, they're all Heisman. They're both
Heisman. I don't know if
they've had better
they're going to have better NFL careers than these guys did their first year. They're also if Winston goes to Tampa Bay, does he start right away or does Glennon start? And if Mariota drops, which I think he's going to, if he goes to a team that wants a quarterback because their quarterback's like getting older or they want to. I don't know if those guys. I don't know if those are guys that are going to step in and be starters right away.
They shouldn't be
potential,
but they
might.
I mean, I think like all right. I mean, I can say it's pretty confidently that if Mario,
Glennon.
But
you take him number one. I think
the press.
If you take him number one, there's fan pressure that he needs to start without a doubt.
That's the biggest downfall in the NFL
of sports.
Of this that is it. Like, do not. I don't care. Don't fall under fan pressure because they're fans for a reason, and you're the GM and you're the coach for a reason.
Yeah.
Don't fall in line.
That's a good statement that you made.
That is the biggest downfall. How many quarterbacks actually come in and make a difference after starting? I mean, Carr, but the Raiders didn't have anybody else.
So I'm going to say that with you saying that's great. That's a great point. Then I don't like Mike Pettin, and I hate the Browns just as much as I
hate everything.
Yeah. But he said in a statement, well, I'm proud of Manziel. You obviously like who you coach.
Yeah.
You care about who you coach. You're like a father figure to your players. I'm proud of Manziel's success, getting better for himself, but we are looking for a quarterback.
Right.
Came right out and said it. And they know that there was a lot of butts that got put in those seats that wanted Johnny. Wanted Johnny.
Right.
And Pettin probably shouldn't have said, from a viewpoint of fans, probably should not have said, we're looking for a quarterback. Because everyone loves Johnny football. But he said it.
Could have had Teddy B.
You could have had Teddy B, but Teddy B went to a small school, put up ridiculous numbers. But do you take a risk on someone like that?
No. They traded for him. They traded for Manziel to get him at 22, so why couldn't you trade and get...
But Manziel's bringing something that Teddy B isn't, and that's his... I guess Showtime,
okay.
That, you're just like in the end, NFL's a business. Johnny Manziel's gonna sell seats.
Yeah,
that's the difference.
With a good point, everyone. Our very special guest, Fitz. We're gonna move to defense now. We have defensive end, and I'm just gonna kind of crush it with DT as well. We have Randy Gregory out of USC, Shane Ray out of Missouri, Alvin Dupree, Kentucky, Mario Edwards Jr. out of Florida State, Armstead out of Oregon. Then we have Leonard Williams out of USC, Danny Shelton out of Washington, Malcolm Brown, Texas, Jordan Phillips, Oklahoma, and Eddie Goldman from Florida State.
Gregory is the best, obviously.
Yeah, he's projected to go one on Kuiper's board right now. Not that means anything or anything.
I I'll throw up if they take him 1.
Yeah.
If Tampa Bay takes,
They don't need him to go 1. The Titans probably need him to go 2.
There are talks that the Titans are trying to move that
pick
Yeah.
back the other way. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
I don't know where that comes from. And
That's kind of stupid on their part.
And
too.
if you're Tampa Bay, you have Michael Johnson, who you just spent a boatload of money on last year, and you have Gerald McCoy,
who you spend a
boatload of money on. So why are
too.
you going to go defense? And
You
I don't
don't
think
need
the
to.
Titans go defense because that's the only thing they really have going for them is that defensive line's pretty good. So
they shouldn't draft a quarterback though in the first round.
No, we say that Mettenberger's good. Yeah.
That's what I think. I think they're going.
That's why they're probably going to move because they know they can get so much for that pick, and they're content with Mettenberger. So I don't have an issue with them doing that.
So do you think they?
But no one sees that.
Do you think they drop a couple picks? Like
yes.
I think. Hold on. I think best case scenario they drop it to the Jets. And then they can pick up Cooper at 6.
Be very if I'm the Jets and I have a chance to get Cooper or quarterback, I would go with the
quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. Watch the Eagles in this draft. I expect them to try and move up.
But they're what? Middle of the draft, they're like 21 or something like that.
Yeah, they don't have enough to offer.
I don't think they would have to really throw something to...
Listen, we talked about this last time.
If to move up
jump in a draft, jump in a draft is literally no more than 4 spots.
Yeah.
It's impossible. You have to give up everything.
You would have to give up, like, you'd have to re-sign Macklin and then trade him away and your first round. Yeah. It would be the dumbest move for them. But I think the more reasonable one is that they can drop to 6.
I agree the Titans are going to be moving that pick most likely.
But you could get...
That'd be like the big surprise of the day.
But you'd get Mariota, who knows Chip Kelly's already offense. Is Nick Foles the long-term answer?
You don't have to jump to 2 to get Mariota. You don't have to... If you're Philadelphia, if I'm going to go along with what you're saying...
You'd have to jump at least 10 spots.
We're going to do a trial run of this.
You have to jump at least 10 spots.
You wouldn't have to jump to 2. I think Mariota's going to be there a while. But you
would have to jump at least 10 spots. I think he could drop
to like 8 or 9.
Yeah.
But
the Jets don't take him.
Well, the thing about the Jets though is that I think Mariota might be a better option than Geno, but I don't think he is the option, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean by that? Yep, totally I don't think Mariota's going to go out there and bring them to the next level, and I think they might know that, which is why I think they might stick with Geno.
The more I think about what you're saying, that's a really smart comment, because Mariota, if you were to go team by team, he fits in Philadelphia more than anywhere. By the hurry-up offense, how they run the most plays in the least amount of time. But it's just, how would they get him?
Yeah,
it's just the tough part.
You wouldn't be able to jump 19 spots or even 10 spots at that point to get him.
That's the tough spot.
So he would be good at running that offense, though. He would be
awesome. Kelly's an Oregon guy, so they run the same system.
Awesome.
Yeah,
well,
it'd be
here's actually what would... This is how it would work. This is how it would work.
A crazy thing would be like a draft and trade.
Well, that's how it's going to work.
That'd be ridiculous.
The trade would happen once Mariota was selected.
Yeah.
The value of a draft pick goes down once the person's selected. Yeah. It's awesome. Now, you know how much value
I would like if the Jets drafted Mariota and then traded him for Nick Foles. I'll take Nick Foles on my team.
I just don't think either of those guys are going to work.
Nick Foles is the long-term answer.
No.
Right,
but I don't.
But I definitely
Mariota in Philadelphia, great call. But it's just a matter of
it would have to be like a backdoor, like Eli Manning trade deal.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna move to linebacker, and all these linebackers that I saw that were even ranked like higher. All of them are outside, inside linebackers.
Yeah.
You have Dante Fowler Jr. out of Florida, Vic Beasley out of Clemson, Shaq Thompson out of Washington, Eli Harold out of Virginia, and Nate Orchard out of Utah.
Shaq Thompson's the only household name for me that I've seen that has, looks pretty good. Just based off of size and stuff.
Fowler and Beasley have gotten a lot of attention only because of where they are.
Big, I was just going to say, but I mean, come on, you go to Florida.
That's SEC territory. Yeah. And then with Clemson, Clemson is like the number 2 team in the ACC, so they're going to get big recognition anyway. Not that these guys aren't good. I think that
there's not many teams that are like, all right, our defense is really that bad that we want to build around the linebacker.
I think that these guys will end up going second round, but I think these guys will be
the worst defensive
team
in the NFL is the Falcons. If you would disagree, please tell me who's worse than them defensively.
No.
There's no one worse than the Falcons.
That's why I thought Rex was going to go there.
Oh yeah,
But I thought that would have been the best.
The best move
would
be
possible in the offseason was to bring in a defensive-minded guy to Atlanta, which is what they need to make that step to get back to the playoffs. Because you have the offense.
Right. Don't get me wrong, Dan Quinn.
Devonta Freeman,
Dan Quinn
cousin.
is a good defensive coordinator, but let's all be real. I think we're on the same page here that
You had the skill.
Rex
in
is
Seattle,
the best defensive-minded coach in football.
And Quinn had the skill, so like me and you could have been the defensive coordinator and
for them,
we were great for them because they had the skill.
Right. Well, yes.
Like the whole thing with me is like these guys will go most likely in the second or third round, but they'll be solid second or third round picks. Because teams, you can never hurt at the linebacker position.
No. There's positions that you can always load up on and be fine, but injury prone and stuff.
All right, so we're gonna look at defensive backs now. We're just gonna crush corners and safeties together. I'm just gonna list the top 5 for each. Landon Collins out of Bama, which is Tierman's boy.
He's good.
Cody Pruitt out of Ole Miss. Chris Hackett out of TCU. Anthony Harris, Virginia. Jaquiski Tart out of Samford, not Stanford, and Gerard Holyman out of Louisville at safety. Then at corner we have Trey Waynes out of Michigan State, Marcus Peters out of Washington, Quinton Rollins out of Miami, Ohio, P.J. Williams, Florida State, and Alex Carter, Stanford.
I saw that the guy Waynes from Michigan State, I saw that he was going to go before Landon Collins.
Where's the guy from Oregon, the corner, who got hurt?
He was not in the top 5.
He's probably not now. Yeah,
he was before, but now he's not. Like he's still
Waynes,
top 10.
The dude
though.
from Michigan State, Wayne. I saw that he was going before Collins.
Top 10 position wise, I meant.
Collins is good.
He's probably
with Collins.
He's unique. He's a big hitter too.
That he can just cover. You can use him
Anywhere.
multiple ways.
Yeah.
right, and
because he can lock someone down, and he's a big hitter with the run. So
and it depends on what teams are really looking for. If they're looking for a safety or a corner,
he's the nickel's good D for him.
Like a nickel.
So if he could go to a team that runs nickel pretty well, like the Chiefs, but the Chiefs don't need him.
Right.
So but he's good. I don't ever, toot the horn for Alabama players for a lot of reasons.
Collins is probably their best. He's one of the best players.
I would say he's good. He's good. He's NFL ready.
Besides Cooper, he's probably their best player.
Without a doubt, he's NFL ready.
Yeah.
So.
All right, now we have offensive line. So I'm just gonna go OT, offensive tackle, guard, and center, just because it's so many guys you can get from. Brandon Sheriff out of Iowa, Andreas Pete, Stanford. L. Collins, LSU, T.J. Clemmings out of Pitt, Cameron Irving out of Florida State, then A.J. Cann, South Carolina. This is guards now. Lekan Tomlinson out of Duke, Trey Jackson, Florida State, John Miller, Louisville, and Jose Matias, Florida State. You have Reese Demukes out of Auburn, Grassu out of Oregon, Gaelic out of BC, B.J. Finney, Kansas State, and Mason out of Georgia Tech, and I might have mispronounced some of those names. Who's the best offensive lineman? I mean that's kind of the hard thing because you don't hear too much about these guys.
What team really needs to rebuild their offensive line in the top 10? And I didn't see any guys in the top 10 that were
Oakland.
Somewhat, yeah.
I feel like Carr had no.
But I think there are a lot of teams that need an offensive lineman in the first or 2 rounds.
Yeah.
The Lions.
Yeah, the Lions could use him. That's why they need to re-sign Sims. Yeah, Pittsburgh was where I was thinking of the first. The Steelers could. They could take the first offensive lineman in the draft.
It's such a stupid topic because you could say every team needs line.
Right.
Dude, I could tell you that the Jets should go out and get a lineman with their first pick because guess what? The Brickashaw's gonna. The Brickashaw Ferguson's old.
Yeah.
I mean, like
the Brick's a beast. He is. I love the
yeah.
Brick, but he's getting old. And they need to eventually account for that. The only thing about O lineman that I kind of realized is that you need to draft an O lineman that was good at a big school. I feel like when O linemen get drafted out of small schools, it just doesn't work out.
It doesn't.
Like Fisher,
Vladimir Dukas out of UMass.
Yeah,
terrible.
Yeah,
what kind of competition is that guy seeing?
The NFL looks at size, which is what's stupid.
Right, but what kind of competition is UMass playing? You're not playing.
Yeah, come on.
Right, like you don't need a guy that's 6'10", 400 pounds if he's not going to do anything for you except stand there.
It just doesn't make sense to me.
We were talking about that when the Chiefs took Fisher over. Who's the other guy? There was
Greg Robinson.
Could have been, but we were talking about it.
It was. I think it might have been Jake Matthews.
Oh, for tackle? Because
Robinson's
guard is what the Rams took.
They took someone, and we're talking like, why wouldn't you just get an SEC guy?
Yeah,
right. That's like a position where SEC actually matters.
Or the SEC and the ACC now.
Right.
It's just like those are the two big areas that you're trying to look for alignment.
And I just feel like, why would you get a guy like, say, I'll just go back to Dukas, for example, who's playing out of UMass? Who's he playing? He's playing UNH, University of New Hampshire.
Or BC on a good day.
Right. Like, I'm just like, none of those guys are even close to NFL level.
Also, I feel as if NFL teams, unless you're desperate, they wait and take them.
Yeah, and I still think
I feel as if you can get good, solid offensive linemen
at any round,
fourth and later.
Yeah,
I really do.
I mean, we talked about that, and I agree with that too. But do you also agree that you can never go wrong with offensive line?
No. Look at I use Dallas.
There's two positions that are always good to take at any point in the draft. D-line and O-line.
Right.
And you can't say anything otherwise because you won't get a quarterback that's going to do exceptional par Brady that you can draft in any round. Same with running back, fullback, wide receiver, tight end, linebacker, defensive back, kicker, whatever. You're going to get you can't draft them in any round and say that they're going to be, or at least expect them to be quality.
Right, no.
Offensive line, defensive line.
Because when we get to those later rounds, 1 and 2, you address the needs right away. Now.
Yeah, right away.
So once you handle that, you're to the 3rd, 4th round, you're like, okay, now what?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get an offensive line.
Always can do that.
So you get and some teams have 2 picks.
Yeah.
So you go, okay.
Well, we can draft an offensive lineman or then a defensive lineman.
Line. And then
like a linebacker or something like that.
Exactly.
Right.
So
always a healthy stock of that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of something along that nature where it's just like the position is so versatile. Like where you guys are like. All right, I'm going to show a little bias here. Where you have like guys like Cameron Irving who play every position on offensive line. Center, guard, and tackle in one season.
Oh, the guy from Alabama. What was his name? Barrett Jones.
Right.
Oh, Barrett Jones.
Yeah.
Big white dude. Yeah, he played
guys who played
guard, tackle.
Guys who played every position on the line and done it well so that every team wants someone like that playing for them.
Exactly.
It's kind of like the Patriots, again, bias, but they have Ryan Wendell who's played center for them for a full season. And he moved to guard this year. He also played at tackle the year before he played center.
Right.
So you want functional guys, and you don't need to go in the first 2 rounds to get that.
I have a big question. Because we don't have much time left, so I want to ask a big question. Fitz made a good point as how last year's draft was just stupid with talent, right?
Yep.
Like if you didn't know the first thing about football, you could name a lot of people because it was so publicly talked about.
Yeah.
Right.
This year's there's going to be some guys that come out of the woodwork
that are quietly
really
going
good,
to do
like Kevin White out of West Virginia or Pittsburgh, that no one talks about.
Kevin White's out of West.
Oh, it is what I was right. Okay, out of West Virginia that no one talks about.
No, I'm telling you, there's one like a guy. I don't know if you guys heard of him. I brought his name up on the show. This guy Justin Hardy's out of Eastern Carolina.
Yes, talked about
his coach has gone out multiple times and vouched for him and saying that Justin Hardy is the best receiver in the draft. He's like, just because he went to Eastern Carolina, you don't know. And it's just like...
So this is where I'm going with this question. I agree that it's not... I don't want to say it's a weak draft. It's just one of those surprising drafts where guys are going to be like... We're going to be talking the 6th, midway through next season and be like, whoa. I mean, this guy came out of nowhere. And look at the year he's putting together. So with that being said, the question I have for you three is... Come April, when we're all watching the draft, on draft night...
Yep.
Is this going to be one of those drafts where... Every time someone goes to the podium, they say, we have a trade, or either we have a trade, or you're going to be like, oh, they need this, they're taking that, they're taking that. And then
it's
you're
someone completely different,
I feel like this draft has the making because there's not so much talent. When there's so much talent, you can say, look, Titans need a wide receiver. Here's the best wide receiver in college football. The picks match, they're taking it. And sure enough, they take it.
I think
this draft doesn't have enough skill to do that. I think this draft's going to be wild.
Agree? I really want this draft to be wild, and I think outside of Mariota and Winston, I think you're going to get every other team booed when they announce the draft pick, which is going to be hilarious.
The Jets are going to get booed no matter what.
Well, I think
the
Roger
Jets.
Goodell gets booed just regardless of
He
who
shouldn't
he
even
picks.
show up.
But
He
like,
shouldn't even show up, honestly.
I
But
can't
like the whole
stand
thing-
that guy.
But
Me
like the whole
neither. I
thing
really
is
can't
that
either.
you're gonna see like the fans going like, why the hell are they drafting
and
this guy?
That's what I think this draft's
But-
going to be like. But it's one of those things that's going to turn out. Sorry.
and it's
One of those
gonna
things that's
gonna
turn
work
out.
for them,
Yeah.
and it's going to
You know how
like
many
these teams are
times-
gonna utilize guys.
You know how many times, and this is called stupid fans, which none of us are.
It's called towny fans. Can't stand any of them.
None of us are this. You watch a draft, you know you're a fan, right?
You want your team to do well,
You know
obviously.
5 people in the draft.
And you want your team to draft all 5
There
of
are
those players.
3 positions that are acceptable in the NFL: wide receiver, running back, and quarterback. Those 3 positions are all that stupid, idiotic fans want to hear called on
Right.
draft night. If you
Anything
take someone
else.
other than that,
Right.
you get booed.
Yep.
But I will never forget when the Rams took E.J. Gaines in last year's draft, and they booed for whatever reason because he was a corner and he came out of nowhere.
Yep.
Now E.J. Gaines,
He's huge for
he
them.
Yeah,
he
he's
led
nasty.
the team in tackles
He's
behind
great.
Aaron Donaldson,
He's
who's
great.
also a rookie,
Right.
and they booed the crap out of him.
Yep.
That is called stupidity of fans.
Because they want the big name players. They want the players that were
And this
hyped up
draft
by
doesn't
like,
have big name players.
well, like the whole thing.
So you're right. Besides Winston and Mariota, there's gonna be a lot of boos.
There is.
And
There
just
are
kinda
good
real-
It's gonna be a
boos.
pretty
and just kinda
decent
really
draft,
quick-
though.
It is.
And just kind of
It
like really
is.
quick, like you're going to get the people that only want the players that were talked about on things
Right.
like ESPN or
Exactly.
Fox or CBS, and it's only because they're going to talk about the guys that they think are going to be the biggest, the next generation of stars, which they could be easily the biggest bust that comes out of the draft. Like you don't know, Mariota could come out or Winston could come out and absolutely bomb in 3 years and then be nothing.
Yeah.
And
I
teams
agree.
only want them because of their name now, and
Right.
not
Right.
because of what they
Right.
could be.
That
So-
was like the whole like I watched that thing the Tom Brady thing on ESPN that they did about him when he got drafted.
Yeah.
Honestly, obviously I'm on the outside looking in because obviously I know Brady was the best quarterback in that draft. And I mean the
Now.
old but seriously,
Now.
now.
He was the worst quarterback in the draft.
Well, but if you look back at that and you see those other quarterbacks and you know what you know now,
right? You're like,
Yo,
whoa.
you're like, whoa, why was Brady in
Ever.
the 6th round? The only other person I honestly could have seen them picking over Brady was Chad Pennington.
but
And
he-
who's a
who?
bum?
No, he was
not
solid.
a bum.
Yeah, he was
Pennington,
solid.
Hey,
for a
fun
few
fact
years.
for you. Pennington had the best QBR for the first, 5 years in NFL history in the red zone.
Yeah, you know,
Never threw a pick.
yeah,
Yep.
no. Pennington was solid. He finished his career as a bum.
Well,
but
too, he
solid.
was because of injuries, because
Yeah.
of his rotator
Exactly.
cuff. Yeah.
But like
And
the
he
whole
didn't
and like
help being around the
he
Jets
threw
for
to
much.
Randy
Yeah.
he threw to Randy Moss, and that was just
also
ridiculous
helped.
at Marshall.
That's Dante Culpepper effect. I'm
Yeah.
talking
That's
about.
true. That's
But-
true.
But Tierman, what were you gonna
Here's-
say real quick?
I was gonna say,
And then we'll wrap it up.
what team do you think is gonna be most active in this draft?
Tampa Bay.
I think Tennessee, because they're gonna if they move that second pick overall, that probably makes them
Tampa
the
Bay,
biggest
because they're
mover.
gonna reconfigure Levante David's contract. He said that he came out and said he's willing to take a pay cut.
Which means
They,
that they're
they
going
already
to give him a
have. They
pay
already
cut.
are $35 million to play with. They have the number 1 draft pick.
Yep,
They have arguably a top 10 wide receiver in Mike Evans.
your boy.
I think they let Vincent Jackson go because that will free up a lot of money.
That's what I
then
said.
they have a ton of money and they can go play in free agency. And Lovie Smith did say they were going to play.
But there were reports that they're going to keep Vincent Jackson.
There are reports of that, but if I'm the GM, you got to get rid of him.
I agree with you though too because
I'm just saying draft day.
Draft day,
What-
Tennessee.
I agree.
I agree.
I agree with you with the Vincent Jackson thing because with having it's good to obviously have a lot of good receivers, but you need one receiver who's your guy,
Exactly.
and both of them could
Think
be
that they're the guy,
think they're that
right,
guy. But
yeah.
you take Mike Evans, you take the young guy,
yeah.
and then you just get other
Building
other
pieces,
good
yeah.
receivers to go around.
I agree.
Because I'm curious what the Browns do. Besides the Eagles, those are my two
They can
teams.
sleep. They can be
Two
a sleeper.
first-round draft picks.
Those
the
are
Browns.
that's why. Those are my
can-
two
they can be a
teams.
sleeper.
Do they package the 2 and move up?
Oh,
The Browns,
Yes.
They
do
very
they
well
package the
could.
2 picks and move up?
They could.
if they move up, who do they get? QB.
No,
No. Want to know why?
they'll probably grab
Want to know
a
why?
wide receiver.
Because of media.
Yep.
They would never. It is so absurd for a team to draft a quarterback
No,
one year and draft a quarterback the
I'm
next year.
just-
you make your team look stupid. I'm not saying what you're saying is wrong. I'm just saying.
Wait, who would
the Browns?
If the Browns have 2 first-round picks in this draft.
All right, but they're also in certain circumstances
if they
because
package them and move up.
Who knew Manziel's going to go? I mean,
what do they get?
I'd say who knew Manziel would go to rehab, but I mean, like, I guess it's not
Everybody,
that far.
raise your hand.
But realistically, did you think, Manziel's going to go to rehab after his first year in the NFL?
No.
Maybe get a year later down the road.
You can admit, and I have told you this since day one, I don't like the guy, and I think he's garbage, and I've said that all along. Yeah. And I knew that was a mistake taking him.
Yeah, in the first round.
So, if the Browns... He's right. If the Browns package those two picks together...
That was a media pick.
That's what
it is. That's what I just said.
It was the Browns. They needed that.
So where do the Browns go if they do get rid of those 2 picks in the first round?
That's my question.
Do they not even stay in the draft? Do the Browns say, look, I'll give you these 2 picks and you give me Nick Foles?
Oh. They're going to go anybody. I think they should stick with Hoyer.
No.
NFL
backup.
Who else is there though? Who else?
Nobody. You're right. But
and then you go with the guy who knows the system.
Teams are draft hungry. I would bet you $1,000 that if the Browns packaged both of their first round picks,
Hundley?
I just can't see them taking a quarterback 2 years in a row.
Right, but I'm saying though. But what are their options?
Here's their option. Hear me out.
If it was that easy, everyone would have a
draft picks. You take the 2 draft picks. Okay. It's rare that you have 2 draft picks in the first round. The NFL does not. The NFL is so draft pick happy in trades, but you never see a first round draft pick unless it's future, and that's how the Browns got 2 future from the trade with Buffalo. Yeah. So they have 2 future that are now. You take those 2 picks and you trade a quarterback that's already established. Call me crazy, Jay Cutler. There's a name. Jay Cutler.
They're not keeping him. The Bears are. Did you hear the John Fox guy? They asked him blatantly. Are you moving forward with Jay Cutler?
They like David Fales, the 3rd string.
Yeah,
over
and they said, and he didn't give him a straight answer.
He didn't even answer. If you're the Browns, if you're the Bears, would you not, knowing that Matt Forte is getting old, you're going to probably get rid of Cutler, your entire defense is old, the only player on your defense that's young is Kyle Fuller, would you not definitely get rid of Jay Cutler and get him off your hands for 2 first-round draft picks?
I would do it.
The Browns could do something like that. There's an example.
Or like you said, Nick Foles, too.
Nick Foles. But I'm sorry, I'm a Jay Cutler fan. I think Jay Cutler's good. I think Jay Cutler's in a different planet than Nick Foles.
I think Jay Cutler's a really good quarterback.
He had a bad year.
He just needs to keep himself in check emotionally.
What if they don't package?
Once he starts going out of control, then he's just
he's one of those guys who just needs to get out of his.
Hold on.
He needs to focus.
Yeah. I want to hear this.
If you don't package them,
okay,
and you just trade
one
at a time, like you trade
one to one team, one to another,
right?
You could.
The Browns are the youngest team in the NFL. Did you know that?
Yes.
The Browns are the youngest team in the NFL.
One of their older players is like Kruger.
Right. So if you're the Browns, maybe you have no problem getting rid of your draft picks to go get someone who's established themselves in the NFL.
Oh.
But what position?
Wide receiver. If you already have a quarterback coming in somewhere. What if Randall Cobb went to Cleveland with the draft pick? You give a draft pick to the Packers. You think the Packers would turn down a first-round draft pick?
No.
I can't think of any team that would turn down a first-round draft pick. No. I don't care if you have number 1. You're telling me Tampa Bay would not like to have another pick in the first round?
Oh, yeah, they would.
What team was going to turn down a first-round draft pick?
No one.
The Browns have literally a golden key.
Unless their asking price is ridiculous.
The Browns have a golden key. They have 2 golden keys in the first round. They can get rid of both of those picks and get something pretty good, whether it's in the draft moving up or an established veteran or future.
All right. So just to kind of wrap this one up as we went overtime this week again. Thank you guys for listening and for watching. If you're watching on YouTube or listening on New Ray College Radio, we still don't know if we're going to be on Tuesdays or on Fridays because God knows this lovely New England weather, whether it's 15 below with wind chill or snowing 2 feet. We'll definitely let you guys know when we'll be on air. Be sure to follow us on Twitter at NFL Corner 3, Corner with a K, and number 3, no spaces, to see what we think of NFL stories and issues in 140 characters or less, and feel free to ask us any NFL-related questions you want. I'm Nick Stano with Anthony Benelli, Stephen Peltier, and Kevin Fitz, and we'll see you guys next week. Thank you.
Good show, Joe.